Your health is calling, where holistic health meets practical solutions for your well-being. With your host, speaker, New York Times bestselling author, Sue Kostyk, a seasoned holistic health practitioner and longevity coach. Join Sue each week to embark on a journey to uncover the root causes of your health concerns. Through a personalized approach, learn how to decode the messages your body is sending and craft natural protocols to address them. Call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A.
Good morning and welcome to Hello, Your Health is Calling. So we have been on a journey and we have been going through the weeks of a de-stress protocol, which was developed by Dr. Stephen Cabral and used in many natural holistic healings. And we have started with D for diet. Basically, just eat a whole food diet. Eliminate processed foods, sugars, seed oils, all those unhealthy things that are causing inflammation. The E is for exercise, not meaning that you have to go in and kill yourself in the gym every day, but movement, daily movement. Get those 10,000 steps in. And the S is for stress management. And we spent a lot of time talking about stress and the effects of its body and what you can do to manage it better. And we actually spent 2 weeks on the T, which is toxin removal. And we talked about all the different toxicities that are around us and how it's pretty much unavoidable. And what we can do to remove them and start lowering that toxic overload that's filling your cup or your rain barrel. We talked about our bodies being a rain barrel, and we're just keep filling it on top of each other of toxins and poor food choices and environmental things. And last week I actually went through some results of some functional tests that actually test your toxicity levels, the bad toxins like your mercury, your aluminum, your arsenic, a lot of those toxins that start to build up over time. So that's where we are, and we are on the R of the de-stress protocol, and that is rest. And we're just going to kind of dive in to this whole subject of rest and what it means and how important it is to your body. And I'm going to give you some good news and some bad news, and we'll just kind of go through this. So rest and sleep obviously are so important, and we all know this. And I do believe that our society kind of glorifies lack of sleep and high levels of stress. And it's really, stress and sleep is more important than we really give it credit for, because until you can calm your body and go into that rest and repair mode of your nervous system. When we were in the stress module, I talked about our central nervous system and how it's divided into two sections, and it's your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. And our sympathetic system is where we live pretty much day in and day out. It's that fight or flight. It helps us with energy. It tells our body to produce cortisol so we have the energy. Historic man really needed, instant shots of cortisol so that it could either run away from an enemy, being chased by a bear, what have you. That is what the cortisol was meant to do, and that was the kind of stress that ancient man was under. Today, modern man, we're not running from a bear. We're fighting with our employees, with our spouses, stresses with our families. So our body doesn't know the difference, and it doesn't, if we don't shift it into that other side, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, we're not ever getting to that rest and repair part. And that's where the sleep and the rest come in, and it's so important. We do end up getting into that situation that we're constantly in fight or flight, and we get addicted to that adrenaline and to that cortisol rush. And like I said earlier, we live in a world that glorifies stress and no sleep. A little bit of human biology. I'm gonna hopefully not get too sciencey, but we all have a diurnal rhythm. And that is basically our biological bodies were built to follow the sun. And it's our built-in clock. It's when it's working correctly, it allows us to wake up without an alarm clock. It allows us to start getting sleepy at the correct times of the night. And, normal cortisol, when we are in a normal diurnal circadian rhythm, maybe you've heard that term, the cortisol is going to peak when we wake up, and it's going to slowly run down throughout the afternoon until about 10 o'clock at night, which we should not really be producing cortisol anymore. There's a couple of different terminologies that we use in the functional medicine world that has to do with the amount of cortisol that we have running through our bodies. And we have the people that are just wired all the time. And they're constantly in that fight or flight. They're never going down, and taking a rest. It's always constantly go, go, go. Maybe young parents are that way. Entrepreneurs are that way. People who are trying to build their career are that way because it's just constantly go, go, go. And you feel like you can go forever because you constantly have that cortisol level going on. And so you're never really paying attention to the fact that, all of these cortisol spikes are never lowering. And all of a sudden, you're like, you don't get very little sleep. Your mind is constantly racing. You believe you have lots of energy. And you're really basically working off of adrenaline and cortisol and probably caffeine and energy drinks because you just feel like you can keep going all the time. Now, the difference between people who are just wired or that have a lot of energy naturally is that wired people can never sit and relax. Their minds never stop. When you are one of those people, the difference you can tell when you have the natural energy is you can actually stop in the middle of the day or in the evening and wind down. And that is a sign that you have natural energy and you're doing the right things. You're probably getting the right amount of sleep. The people who are wired constantly are the ones that just cannot settle down. And, these kind of things start to lead to burnout, adrenal fatigue. So we've started to notice in the medical community that a lot of diseases are now being termed as lifestyle disease. And those include Alzheimer's, dementia, rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of your autoimmune situations, because what is happening is your body is just burning through all of these hormones. And I've said this before, and I'll probably say it a few times during this podcast, is we rob Peter to pay Paul till Peter has nothing left to give. And once we start going into this upside down kind of world, that's when you start noticing things breaking down and maybe even estrogen dominance and hormone imbalances. So we have the wired people. And then that starts to flow into the tired and wired people. You have no more energy. You're tired all the time. But when it comes time to go to bed, you can't go to sleep because you have that little last bit of cortisol that's spiking at the wrong time. And it's really an upside down diurnal rhythm. And at this point in time, you may be getting sleep. You may be sleeping, but you're waking up and you're groggy and you're tired all day and you just have no um, energy at all. And at this point in time, what's happened is your body can't keep up with the demands that you've been putting it under. And so, you've got fatigue, you maybe even experiencing some pain and aches, you've got brain fog, you've got hormone imbalances. Perhaps you've been diagnosed pre-diabetic because your blood sugar is very dysregulated. Your metabolism is lowering. So all of these things are starting to happen because, again, your body has been robbing Peter to pay Paul for so long, and now all of a sudden you're in this state where you just can't anymore. And then you've come into the third situation where you are just tired all the time. This pretty much means that your cortisol levels are so low that when you wake up, the normal pattern, as I said, is like when you wake up, say you wake up around 6 o'clock, by 9 o'clock in the morning, your cortisol should be at its highest and then slowly coming down the rest of the day. But at this point in time, your cortisol is not even raising at all. And you might have a little teeny bit of a peak, but you're pretty flatlined in your cortisol. And this is the final stage. It's called adrenal fatigue. And I'm not sure if you've heard of adrenal fatigue, but it's literally the final stage. And once this happens, you may nap and it doesn't even feel good. You're just tired all the time. A long vacation isn't going to help either because you just don't have anything left. All day brain fog, again, you're going to be feeling some symptoms of pain, aches, no energy. I mean, this is a sign that your immune system is really now going to start failing, and it pretty much feels like everything is hard. Everything is a big task. You're anxious, you're irritable. It's just, you basically don't even feel like you can even visit with friends. So this is heavy stuff. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to talk about, when we come back, we're going to talk about some diseases that are around cortisol and what you need to do to correct all this. And there is good news, I promise. So we'll take a little break.
Hello? Your health is calling. Feeling bloated, low on energy, dealing with hormone imbalances? Integrative health coach Sue Kostyk is here to assist you. Reach out to Sue for practical health solutions guided by her professional training as a holistic coach. Sue specializes in identifying the underlying causes of health issues and restoring balance. Don't let your health concerns impact your well-being. Contact Sue Kostyk today at 917-362-5176 or via email at sue@symmetryhealthandwellness.com and take the first step towards a healthier, happier you.
You've been watching Hello, Your Health is Calling. Join me as we dive into the realms of longevity, nutrition, stress management, and toxin removal, all without the use of harsh pharmaceuticals. And now, back to the show.
Okay, so welcome back. So this is kind of a heavy topic, and hopefully it's not all bad news, and some of you listening or watching today can relate to some of these things. Before I start going into different diseases and stuff, I also want to let you know that there is a really easy way that you can measure your cortisol levels, and that's just through a simple at-home functional medicine test. It's a spit test that you actually do throughout the day. So whereas conventional medicine, they're usually probably just testing your blood once in the morning, fasting or whatever your doctor has prescribed. But when you start testing hormones throughout the day and seeing where they're actually lying and where the different fixes need to be, that is really the only way that you're going to understand where your levels are. So, if you ever have any questions about any of this stuff, just shoot me an email at support@Hello, Your Health is Calling, and I'll answer any questions and I can get you information about these tests, because honestly, the testing does not lie. And I showed you some tests last week about toxin levels, and next week I'm going to show you some test results about cortisol and hormone levels. So So, a couple of diseases that are around cortisol. One of them is Cushing's disease. And if you haven't heard of it, it's very actually common. And it's just an exaggerated output of cortisol. It's like you're instead of peaking at 9 and slowly going down, your thing is like staying way high, and it's never really going down until maybe even the wee hours of the morning. So it's just a real exaggerated. So that's kind of the first stage. That's where you start to see people entering into this tired and wired zone where all of the output has only been in cortisol. And then the second one, which Cushing's is going to lead in ultimately, is Addison's disease. And that is where you're no longer producing any adequate amounts of cortisol. And these are the signs that you're, you just don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You feel so tired all the time. You have no ambition. You don't even want to, visit with friends or plan anything because it just takes too much. And what sadly is diagnosed a lot of times when you have this is a conventional doctor will tell you that you're depressed, which, I mean, you are because you have no energy, but your body is telling you that it just doesn't want to put any additional stress on itself because it doesn't have any way of dealing with the stress. So you need cortisol to regulate inflammation, to regulate hormones, for your immune system. So once you get into this Addison's disease situation, it's disease. Your body is unwell. And so this is what we want to avoid. And these simple at-home tests will definitely tell you where you're at. And, that's why lab testing is so important, because how do you know? You don't know what you don't know. And, you can also test your hormone levels at the same time and see if you perhaps are a little bit dominant in your estrogen, or if your testosterone needs a little pickup, because all of these are interconnected. Once your cortisol blows up and you don't have any more of that, then that is definitely going to trigger your body not to start producing the adequate amounts of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So whether you're male or female, being in this constant state of stress is definitely going to lead to hormone imbalances. And your body just goes into this automatic biological protection because it's created only to survive. And so no matter how much you work on destroying it, it is going to do whatever it can do to survive. So prioritizing sleep and rest is just going to be one of the most important things that you can do for your overall health. And this whole podcast, from day one till the end, is going to be about gut health and how that affects your entire well-being. And if you start not producing cortisol, then all these other things are going to start happening. And even if you just start slowly and you think, oh, I've got some digestive issues, that is a sign that you have some imbalances going on. So it's really time to just start paying attention to what your body is trying to tell you. So good news, I'm not going to dump you with all this bad news. The good news is that you can change all this. Everything is reversible. Everything is figure outable. If you have a really weird sleep schedule, let's say, and I'm going to eliminate those people who work the night shift. There are people who have very successfully navigated working the night shift, and it's one thing that you have to do for your career, your job. So give yourself some grace. As long as you kind of follow these tips for the times that you are sleeping, then your body is going to regulate and it's going to understand that this is just the situation that you're in. So even like on your off days, like if you work, I'm really thinking about nurses and doctors and first responders and things like that. So you do have some days that are off. And my suggestion would be is to keep with your sleep schedule and get as much sunlight as you possibly can. Do some grounding work, which we talked about before. Get your feet on the earth, get those negative ions into your body. So those are some things if you do work the night shift. So if you do not work the night shift, then getting a really good sleep pattern is going to be super important. So the best sleep pattern is going to be from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. That's how our bodies were created. A lot of people tell me I am a night owl. I can't go to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. So there's really no such thing as a night owl. I'm sorry. We're not created that way. Um, Night owls do believe that they do their best work at night, but that's just because everything has just shifted and your cortisol, instead of going down, when the sun goes down, your cortisol levels are going up. So we need to learn a way to create a better sleep pattern. And, our cortisol and our bodies they're kind of broken up into two different cycles. So we have the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's when we're meant to experience energy and get our cortisol levels up. And then 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is when our bodies are winding down and we're repairing. And I haven't even gone into what your body does when you sleep, but that we can work on that next week. So the best sleep pattern is really 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And some people don't go to bed till 11. Some people don't go to bed at 9, So whatever works for you. But once you stay up past 10:30, then your body's clock starts to kind of trick itself and play some games. So you want to try to keep within about a half an hour of that 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And if you are going to bed at 1, I have a couple of clients that we've been working on their sleep. So one of them typically goes to bed at 1 and gets up at 7. Now, that's not enough sleep at all. And it's too late of sleep. So what we're doing is we are backing her sleep up for 15 minutes every week. So she's up to now, I think, going to bed at midnight. So we've been working on this a few weeks. So if you go to bed at midnight or midnight, 1 o'clock, then this week start trying to go to bed 15 minutes earlier. And then each week, just do another 15 minutes until you get into a good biological rhythm that your body can work with. If you are experiencing any kind of blood sugar dysregulation, if you all of a sudden, all are accumulating some belly fat, and perhaps you're a little bit more irritable and low energy, this is a really good sign that you need to work on your sleep. And again, it's not a weight loss thing, but if you're accumulating belly fat, that is a very unhealthy type of fat. And it happens to a lot of men and women later in life because there's a cortisol issue. And, your immune system and your hormones aren't being regulated. So working on your sleep is really key. Now, there are some rules of thumb. So if you stop eating between 2 and 3 hours before you go to sleep, that's going to allow your liver to go through all of its detoxification levels. There's 2. And it's also going to help you sleep better because your body's not digesting. So eliminating food 2 to 3 hours before bed. Make sure your room is dark. Don't sleep with lights on. Don't sleep with night lights. Make sure your room is dark. Make sure it's cool. The best temperature for sleeping is actually 65 degrees. But there's some areas, like I live in Arizona, it's pretty impossible in the summer, and our electric bill would be sky high if I set my thermostat to 65 degrees. But anywhere between 67, 69, make sure that you're cool and comfortable. There's also sheets that are natural fibers that will allow you to breathe under the sheet. So you could look into some of that too. White noise helps. Just make sure that it's not too loud, so it's not disturbing you in the middle of the night, when you're trying to get into that deep sleep. And no electronics in the bedroom. No TVs, no phones, just try to eliminate that electromagnet, the EMFs, because those do inhibit sleep. And a lot of people sleep with their Apple Watches on, and that is also emitting an EMF into your body. So that could be inhibiting your sleep as well. Now, some people wake up to an alarm. Being jolted out of deep sleep or REM sleep with a screeching alarm is not the way to wake up. If you had the perfect diurnal rhythm, you would wake up around 6 o'clock naturally because the sun is rising. So there are actually lights that you can buy that actually will wake you up. And once you start getting into a better sleep pattern and going to bed at 10, 10:30, waking up at 6, your body's just going to naturally keep doing that. Wind down, 30 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep. Wind down. No electronics, no phone, no laptop, no iPad. If you need to watch something to wind down, watch a television, because that's going to emit the least amount of that blue light. And that's just keeping your mind awake. It's like wind down, read a book, just do something that's just going to help you wind down. There are supplements that you can take that will help you relax. CBD is a good one that doesn't have any THC in it. Ashwagandha, valerian, chamomile, magnesium is a really good one. There is a magnesium tea that you put into kind of some warm water. It just helps your body to wind down. It helps relax your brain. For people who cannot settle their mind down, GABA, L-theanine, those are all really good things to help your mind just relax. If you wake up in the middle of the night or have a hard time going to sleep because you're planning and you're worried about tomorrow, plan it out the night before. Get a journal, get your date book out, whatever you need to do, plan it out. Make your to-do list. So that way it's on paper and you don't have to worry about it. So these are just some really great things to help you. Again, I am a firm believer in functional lab testing. I do it all. I've done hundreds and hundreds of lab tests on my clients. Labs don't lie. We can figure out exactly where you are in your health journey. And, a quick email to support at Hello, Your Health is Calling. We can get you all set up. We live in a world that is really stressful, and sleep needs to be prioritized so that you can rejuvenate and repair and relax so that you can face the stressors of tomorrow, because we know that they're going to be there, but they don't have to be interrupting your health. So that is our session today. Next week, like I did last week, I'm going to show you some lab test results so you can see actually what exactly you will be tested on and how the results will help me to help you get to where you need to be. So until then, thanks for joining. Remember, your health is calling, and please answer. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Hello, Your Health is Calling with Sue Kostyk. Remember, your health journey is ongoing, and we're here to support you every step of the way. If you have any questions, insights, or stories to share, don't hesitate to reach out. You can connect with us on social media or call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A. Together, we're transforming lives and embracing holistic well-being. Until next time, prioritize your health, and remember, your health is calling.